Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 678th edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. I'll give you American perspective of our clubs, leagues, players, national team, and other fabulous moments. Get your daily reading from me and other writers over at Beyond the 90, at beyondthe90.substack.com, and locally at New York Soccer, currently at the moment with Bad Dog Sports to help out Mr. JJ Pavlik until he gets back on his feet. But once I'm done with him, I will return to ajmsportsfc.com. The chat room is open on YouTube. Come on in, discuss amongst yourselves if you like. You have a question for me, I'll try to answer it to the best of my abilities. And ladies and gentlemen, as we are getting ready for this little short week, because we all know it's All-Star Week in Major League Soccer down in Austin, Texas. And if I can just say, in my opinion about All-Star games, and let me just say that for myself, I've always felt All-Star games were the best thing to happen with North American sports. For the many years as a sports fan in this country, whether it was the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, the NHL All-Star Game, the NBA All-Star Game, the Pro Bowl in the NFL, going to Hawaii every single year after the Super Bowl was over, and when Major League Soccer got started in 1996 and they had the very first All-Star Game at formerly Giants Stadium, and that was East versus West at the time. I have seen now my share of All-Star games where it's getting to the point now where, unfortunately, I think it's gone stale. And while, these professional sports leagues are trying to make things better and stronger, MLS's All-Star Game has been changing formats for a very, very long time. First, it was the East versus the West. Then they've decided to invite clubs from Europe to come over. And then I believe a club side from Mexico here and there to come over into these All-Star games. And now that situation where you have MLS All-Stars versus Liga MX All-Stars. And it's come to my attention on my own that I think it's time to abolish the All-Star game. And I know some of you are thinking, no, I'm a classic North American sports fan. We need to have these All-Star games. We want to showcase the best of the best in this one-time game that doesn't really count, to show off the talents of all these great players. Well, look, it's nice to do so, but, it's just a point where I just think it's just not worth it. And, this is not to sound like, a Europhile or anything like that, even though there are no All-Star games in the middle of a Premier League season or a Bundesliga season or a Serie A season or a La Liga season. They just go straight across. First game to the last game, and that's it. Look, I just feel like MLS has overdone the MLS All-Star game. And, look at what the NHL did. Instead of having an All-Star game this past February, that four nations face-off that the NHL had, replacing the All-Star game from this past season, because they wanted to celebrate the return of their hockey players going to the Olympics next winter, I should say, this coming February in 2026 to Italy for the Winter Olympic Games. And look what happened. They had the USA, Canada, Finland, Sweden. And that was a major hit. Because the truth is this, people want to see international competition. Now, what would I do if I am going to use the All-Star break, or at least using in the Midsummer Classic, which would be the MLB, Major League Baseball All-Star break? What would I do for that? Well, it's really simple what I would do for that. And I think once again, and we'll talk about that other tournament that's going to start very soon after this coming weekend, and we'll get to that, of course, in just a moment. This is where I believe where U.S. soccer can come into play. And I believe during Major League Baseball's All-Star Weekend, or All-Star Week, those two games, or should I say those two dates, it'll be a Monday for the Home Run Derby, and Tuesday is the actual game. And usually Wednesdays and Thursdays, there's nothing. But still, though, I would select that Tuesday and Wednesday when it's the All-Star game. I would think U.S. Soccer should at least put and schedule a U.S. Open Cup round proper. I think it would help out tremendously. And once again, you could put the quarterfinals there if you want. I think that would be an excellent idea to put a quarterfinal scheduled matchup over there in July. And then, we get ready for the semifinals in September. Because once again, the All-Star game is no longer something to get excited for. I mean, like I said, I was, a fan of it a long time ago. But now it's just gotten ridiculous and it's just overdone. These battles between MLS and Liga MX. We already have the All-Star game with the All-Stars from both leagues in that southern border. We already have Leagues Cup. That's number 2. And we have Campeones Cup, which is another ridiculous cash grab. And at the same time, a silly little one match nothing burger that really should no longer be on the calendar for MLS. While we will always have the battles between the United States and Mexico in international football, Gold Cup, Nations League, when they return to World Cup qualifying in the next cycle, will they face each other in the knockout rounds of the World Cup itself next summer? We'll have to wait and see. But Major League Soccer is now watering down this rivalry through the club situation. That's why we have CONCACAF. That's why in CONCACAF they have the Champions Cup and the Gold Cup, World Cup qualifying, Nations League now, and that's it. Once again, Major League Soccer cannot interfere with international business, and that is CONCACAF business. I have been saying this for many, many times now. You cannot have a league acting like the U.S. Soccer Federation and CONCACAF rolled into one because that's a recipe for disaster, absolute disaster. Because then you're going to have to question the authority of those who are supposed to be running each and every department of the game, not just in this country, but in this region. Look, I just believe that MLS needs to just stay in their own lane. Worry about league operations, worry about league problems. Don't worry about the other things that you want to control, but in reality, you should not control. That should be under the advisement of US Soccer, and that should also be under the advisement globally and confederation business, regionally, internationally. That should be handled within CONCACAF at their offices in Miami. It's just so disheartening to see Major League Soccer trying to corner the market. And not just cornering the market, but asking the Liga MX and possibly even FMF to join in. It just cannot happen anymore. It really can't. And while I understand FIFA's probably, no interference stance because this is football business and, you know, they're probably going to keep it to themselves. The truth of the matter is this. It's really just they have to intervene somehow and put their foot down because we just cannot continue going down this path. The more the interference continues on, the more I personally believe that our league, while it has improved, but they've still hold themselves back. And we cannot hold ourselves back any longer. It's time to become a big boy league. And once again, look, if MLS wants to slowly reduce the different rules and regulations with roster rules, the GAM, the TAM, designated player, discovery player, territorial rights and all that stuff, if they want to slowly reduce it to where everyone is now comfortable instead of one big swoop of a chopping block, I would understand. I would understand and I would feel perfectly fine with MLS doing this. I would be perfectly okay if they want to go slowly but surely. That's all. Slowly but surely to make sure that nothing falls apart in front of them. I would understand. I am not someone that is against the league. I want the league to survive. I want the league to be successful. I want the league to be big time, period. And yes, we do have some great players of world football in this league, even though they're in the back ends of their careers. And we do have up and coming players developing within the academies of all these MLS teams. But MLS cannot continue to keep holding on to the ball. But once again, the MLS All-Star game is now, in my opinion, useless. It is useless. I'm sorry to say it. I don't want to say it. But after so many times, how can you have MLS All-Stars versus Liga MX All-Stars? It's just another cog in the oversaturated Liga MX versus USA MLS versus Mexico. That is the job of CONCACAF. That is not the job of US Soccer, nor is it the job of MLS. And I do understand why they did it. But I would like to believe that we are very knowledgeable sports fans and we are ready to make this move forward. It's what is best for us, for the sport. I mean, I'm not saying we can't Americanize things, but even you can see now all these other professional sports leagues, they are just not going to have all-star games anymore. Or if they do have all-star games, it's just going to be a different version of it. And so we'll have to wait and see what the situations will be. And once again, it is just one of those things where I believe that we need to just change. We just need to change and be ready for when that change does come. Great show for you tonight. My first guest tonight is going to talk about this particular player that we all know and love, who is just recently on the U.S. men's national team, and he proved why he is a U.S. men's national team player. But where did he get his start from? El Paso, Texas, at the El Paso Locomotive. Join me right now, the broadcast play-by-play announcer for El Paso Locomotive, the one and only Duke Keith, joining me tonight. Duke, welcome back to the show, and how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, doing wonderful. I have to tell you, Duke, ever since Diego Luna made it to the Gold Cup roster for the U.S. men's national team, he proved why he is the future of that national team. And even though many have seen him at MLS at Real Salt Lake, the reality is he really started his professional career down in El Paso, Texas with the Locomotive. You've seen most of his matches played with the Locomotive over at the minor league ballpark. You have to tell us, when you first saw Diego Luna play for the Locomotive, what did you thought about him, whether it's a match or during training?
I'm probably just during matches, just to watch his movement, his desire always to be on the front foot, to be on the ball, to be on the attack. And it was really something to behold. This is a kid who was spotted, actually, was by Richie Ryan, who was the defensive midfielder, the number 6 for Locomotive at the time. And Richie was at that point kind of doing some scouting for the team to kind of transition. He was getting ready to transition into coaching. He's with FC Cincinnati now, and Richie was going to the Barca Residency Academy. He was there to look at another player, and Diego Luna caught his eye, and he says, "We got to get a hold of that kid." So they brought him in. Just a teenage kid. He was barely 17, I think, at the time. Was about to celebrate his 17th birthday, and he comes in and he absolutely bosses things, or tries to boss him. And part of, well, I think Richie really took him under his wing, because Richie was a young phenom in Ireland back at the time, back in the day. And, his career had some ups and downs, especially in the early going. And he was there to make sure that Diego Luna didn't repeat the same mistakes that he made, and really did an excellent job. So all credit to Richie Ryan for spotting the kid. Credit to Diego Luna for taking that opportunity and making the absolute most of it. And didn't take him long for the Major League Soccer ears to perk up as to what was going on. And of course, moves on to Real Salt Lake after about a year and a half in El Paso, as we knew he would. It was very clear. This kid had nothing but potential. But U.S. men's national team, I think you can watch a kid when he's a teenager and hope and see the potential. It's another thing for Diego to have taken that step, and all credit to Pablo Mastroeni and his Real Salt Lake coaching staff for seeing the potential, telling him what he needed to work on, making sure that he didn't get into the first team just straight out of the gate and let him go wild, but to really coach him. And Diego has taken that step and opened the door himself since then.
Oh, absolutely. And I believe he was also part of that U.S. under 20 team, not
Yes.
only to qualify for the under 20 World Cup and for the Olympics, but went to the World Cup in Argentina. And wow, he was a part of the attack where I was so amazed how he played with the ball, put himself in a position to get a goal, just finding teammates on the national team for the under 20s. And this is still while he was with El Paso Locomotive. What did he do for the fan base to watch him play? Where, I mean, like you said, he was box office even before he even got there.
He was absolutely the darling of El Paso and of Locomotive FC. Loved Everybody loved watching him play because he's such a dynamic player. I mean, he's absolutely, you know, I'm saying like an old school number 10 or something like that. He's a lot more on the front foot. He, but he's a playmaker. He's a goal scorer. He is everything you want someone like that to be, and just very American, if you will, in his style. In that he is, with, for lack of a better phrase, balls to the wall. I think we love watching that in the United States, and we certainly love watching Diego Luna play.
No, absolutely. Talk about some of those games that he played. Now, obviously, I want to hear about those big rivalry games, those derby games with New Mexico United, because those are the big ones between El Paso and New Mexico where, everyone's ears perks up in USL Championship League. It's, oh, here it is on the calendar. Let's get ready for it. What was he like during those big derby matches?
He was every bit the player you'd think he'd be, and just always on the front foot. And obviously, soccer's a team sport. You don't always get to score the goal, but he scored and assisted. And I remember specifically, um, it was the first one of the first matches of the season. It was against New Mexico United. This was, I believe, 2021, 22. Leandro Carrijo was a prolific goal scorer for Locomotive sister club FC Juarez Bravos. Scores the game tying goal in like the third minute of stoppage time of like four added. I mean, it was death. It was at the death. But it was Diego Luna who made the play. He would get, I guess you'd call it a hockey assist on that. It was his pass that set up Aron Gomez, who put it in the middle for Carrijo to touch home at the edge of the six. But it was Diego Luna's vision, basically a crossfield hit from near the edge of the 18 to Gomez, who put it into Carrijo. It was that level of playmaking that you could see. It was just incredible. The potential was on display the entire time. Every time he stepped on the field, you just figured something was going to happen. And more than once it did.
No, absolutely. And wow, he has really set the nation on fire with his play on the pitch for both El Paso, now with Real Salt Lake. Obviously, probably everybody, I'm not saying there was a riot in downtown El Paso, but when he didn't make the Olympic team, but was chosen as an alternate and didn't even take that, which I don't blame him because there had to be people rioting in El Paso saying, how in the hell can you not select Diego Luna to be a part of the 18-man roster for the Olympics in Paris? How is that possible?
Yeah, I think that all of us were very disappointed. Obviously, anybody who follows Locomotive FC and especially the fans were very disappointed on his behalf. And and I think there was some talk about, oh, if it's an opportunity, you take it. Well, Diego Luna, he charted his own course, and I think that he just took that opportunity to really start to grab things by the scruff of the neck and make his team in Real Salt Lake, and of course, given an opportunity under Mauricio Pochettino, I would imagine being an Argentine, being that kind of coach, Argentinians, as we all know, the reputation as a soccer playing nation is very hard nosed. I would think plays with a lot of pride. I think Mauricio Pochettino took one look at Diego Luna and said, I see your game. I know exactly where you're coming from, young man. And of course, the legend of having the broken nose and telling the coach, hey, leave me in for the first half. And then directly after that, with big wads of gauze stuck up his schnoz, assists on the first goal. It was an incredible performance. And I think, especially with that and his performance in the Gold Cup, he's earned himself an opportunity to be a part of things come 2026.
I agree. I think he has cemented a roster spot. I shouldn't say a playoff spot yet, but a roster spot for next summer's World Cup squad. Because how can you not have him on the pitch? How could you not have him next to Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah, Weston McKennie? I mean, he is. I think he is that type of attacking midfielder
Yeah.
we've never had for probably such a very, very long time.
The guy who
Um,
comes to mind for me, Daniel, if I may,
mhm,
is Tab Ramos.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tab Ramos played with, I would say, he was a classier player from what I remember of him in the 1990s. Just just the touch on the ball, the things like that. That more classic number 10. Diego Luna is very much in your face, maybe a little more in your face than Tab was, but rarely have we seen that kind of playmaking midfielder. And Tab Ramos is like the first guy that comes to mind. That's 30 years ago, man. That's over 30 years ago, and it's been. You're right. It's been a while. We may never have seen his like.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just the in your face mentality,
Yeah,
but the way he has the ball and the way he moves with it. I mean, obviously Trinidad and Tobago is not a powerhouse national team like they used to be a long time ago. But even against them, you can see the silky smoothness that he has with the ball. And at the same time, he can read the play so well when he intercepted the back pass that he was not even offside at all. And he creates a goal for Malik Tillman in that game against Trinidad and Tobago. Then, of course, the two goals he scored against Guatemala in the semifinals. I mean, those were like works of art. It was fantastic how he's just so aware of his surroundings, Diego Luna, that you want to create or at least clone 5, 7 more of Diego Lunas out there if possible.
that'd be awesome. A team of Diego Lunas. I'm not sure there'd be enough ball to share between those guys, but I mean, he really does. He grabs the game by the scruff of the neck and makes it his. And I think that's what America appreciates about him. I heard a lot of the talk from some of the pundits in and around the Gold Cup that he's very much a player you identify with, that he's a player who makes you feel, and we want that. We obviously want that from all of our professional athletes here in the states. Certainly, Diego Luna is that guy, and I would think, yeah, I think he's absolutely assured himself. Obviously, the Gold Cup final was a disappointment. I'm sure for Diego Luna, maybe most of all. He had maybe one or two quality opportunities to do something with it. Mexico basically strangled the United States out of that.
Yeah,
So he didn't get an opportunity to be on the front foot that I think we all would have loved to see. But I think that he's definitely earned an invitation to camp when the World Cup roster comes around next year.
I agree. I absolutely agree, and I believe Mauricio Pochettino knows what he has in front of him with
Yeah.
Diego Luna. And when just to finish up with the El Paso side of things, the day he transferred to Real Salt Lake, was it a lot of sadness, upset, but obviously people understood because MLS is the top league right now. What was that feeling like with all the Locomotive fans seeing their favorite player now going to MLS in Real Salt Lake?
I think you kind of described it. There was, I wouldn't say bitterness, but I would say, sadness, but also very, very happy for Diego, who is, he's basically his, I believe he is in a relationship with an El Paso girl. He's very much, I think that this city's very much adopted him as kind of their own. And it's nice to see him shout out El Paso when he gets those opportunities as the place that kind of opened the doors. It is his career. He is making the absolute most of it on his terms. And I think El Paso appreciates that. But, we knew he wasn't going to be around here for very long. I think that was pretty obvious from the moment he stepped on the pitch in El Paso. This kid was going places. And the rumor is now, Celta Vigo, if the rumors are true that he might be making a move at some point to Europe, at least there's interest, pardon me, interest from Spain, which would be wonderful to see. Apologies. Um,
Go ahead, take your drink.
Thank you.
Shep.
I think it would be great to see. And obviously, Locomotive FC is making a little bank off of this as well because they get the sell-on fees, which they did for Real. And I think fans certainly saw where that was coming from. You have an opportunity to sell a player of Diego Luna's caliber onto Major League Soccer and get some money for other signings yourself. Well, that's the way things work. It's the way it ought to be, and we're certainly seeing it with Diego. And we wish him the absolute best in whatever comes next for him.
Absolutely. That's Duke Keith, play-by-play broadcaster of El Paso Locomotive. Keith, as always, Duke, as always, I enjoy your time on the show. Thank you for joining me tonight. Talk to you again soon, and good luck with the rest of the season for the Locomotive.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Appreciate it always.
Always. Once again, Duke Keith, play-by-play voice of El Paso Locomotive. My next guest, coming from the National Premier Soccer League, of course, the one and only, the best of the NPSL, El Farolito's head coach, Santiago Lopez, joining me once again. Welcome back, Santiago. Hopefully you're not in traffic. We can have you on this show tonight.
Hey, thanks for the invite once again, Daniel. And yeah, unfortunately, I made it to the training a bit earlier for this interview. It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you on, and I appreciate you doing this tonight. Thank you very much. Well, El Farolito does it again. You win another trophy, even though it's a brand new one, the John Motta Trophy, which means that not only did you win the $50,000 prize as the Open Division club to advance the furthest in this current Open Cup tournament, but now you're going in as an automatic bid for 2026 Open Cup. Does it does this amaze you? We know what you've done and what the club has done to get yourself on the soccer map of the United States, but to get this honor from the Open Division Department of U.S. Soccer, what does that say to you and the club?
Yeah, for us, it's a great surprise, and for me, it's a blessing to be at this stage. This group of players, when I first introduced them to the Open Cup history and the intention of our club trying to participate in the Open Cup every season, they had no idea they would reach to this point, and it just shows the great character and determination and discipline of this group, and everybody's done such a great job and being so committed to the idea, created a family that we've been very patient throughout the years to try to participate and be competitive and try to win our spot in the Open Cup. And next year is going to be our fourth consecutive time qualifying to the Open Cup. And now with the switch of with this prize, we don't have to worry about winning this Saturday or winning the national championship NPSL to qualify again. So at least takes the pressure off. And it's even better, great news that we get a bye in the first round next year.
Oh, you do get a bye in the first round next year. Now that is the new thing I did not hear, and congratulations. That one really surprised me. I didn't even see that in the press release, but that is just wonderful. You're going to start a round later. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's not going to be easier for sure. It's We're gonna most likely going to be paired up against a USL Championship because of the region. I don't think there's going to be a USL one or maybe another amateur team. We don't know, but second rounds are always way more intense and high quality opponents.
Mhm. Well, I believe you're going to be able to handle it anyway because you always have your players ready to go, whether it's a league match or an Open Cup match. I know you're going to have them ready to go. And have you ever met John Mott at all? Has he ever visited El Farolito on any official business of some sort? Have you ever met the man?
Yeah, I've met him before at the NPSL meetings years ago. Very professional, very well respected person. Great knowledge in football in the country, and I know that he was one of the presidents at a pro club over there in New Hampshire. And we recently connected again because of the cup that we went to go play in June, the Hank Steinbrecher Cup. He was the one who was there hosting us and took care of us. He's definitely a living legend for U.S. soccer, adult amateur.
No, absolutely he is. I've had him on my show actually last year when it was the 100th anniversary of the U.S. Adult Soccer Association tournament. So, great man to talk to, very humbled, and as you said, very knowledgeable as well. If I can talk to you about El Farolito season, um, undefeated, no draws at all. You got all 12 wins. You're in. You believe you're facing Cruisers FC in the West Region Final right now, and then if you do win that, which I believe, did you play that already this weekend or no?
Yes, yes. Very tough match against Cruisers. We were down 1-0 in the 18th minute. Great goal by them, and it really put us into a very um, complicated state of mind, I could say, because everybody was just so shocked, and they were just a bit nervous, I suppose. But luckily, we got the equalizer before the halftime, and in the second half, we were able to score 3 goals, and we went up top 4-1. And now we're traveling to Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're gonna go play Michigan Rangers. It's the first time I've ever heard about that club, but I know that just right away I could tell that they're very united. They have great talented players. I've seen 3 matches of theirs, and they're very strong. So defensively and in every line, to be honest, they're just very good. So it's going to be a very tough test that we're going to go and play at a field that we don't know, a region that we've never been before, which is also a good thing because we want to introduce and expose that name of El Farolito and our history to new fans that don't know us, and try to put a good show. And hopefully it's a great game for the fans there, and hopefully we can get with the win, and that would mean we would host the national final at Kezar Stadium on the early August.
What's it like having the target on your back? Obviously, you're the defending champions of the NPSL. Not saying the Golden Gate Conference is an easy conference to play in, but still, though, when you have that target on your back and people want, or at least these other clubs, they want to try to knock you down, but you still remain strong. Did you enjoy the challenges of being the hunted instead of being the hunter?
Yeah, we always mention that because we won the national championship, this season would be even more harder because every team would show up with a more aggression, more stronger mentality to try to surprise us and beat us. Um, and you could tell because in the Golden Gate Conference, they were very strong teams, and they played us very tough. There was very physical games. There was a lot of talk. There was a lot of hits, but luckily we only got 2 reds the entire season, 2 red cards, but one for retaliation, or both for retaliation. But it's good because it helps us prepare us for these national stages and even the Open Cup games. I've always said that we're very blessed and we're very fortunate to play in a league like NPSL because you play against such high intensity and young and well experienced players that prepare you for these Open Cup games. So because in the Open Cup it's definitely another competition that you play against the pros, and it's another league, so it's another competition that is very different than the national amateur league. So it helps us a lot, and for me it's just, I always tell my players, it's week by week. You have a bad week, you don't play. You have a good week, you're going to play. And we keep that very competitive and healthy environment in the group.
No, absolutely, and that's great. And for those of us that are, I am familiar with Kazar's Stadium, but for those that are not, is that considered like the holy grail of fields in the San Francisco Bay Area? Just for my audience that are not familiar with Kezar Stadium, what is that place like for you and everyone in San Francisco?
Yeah, Kizar's it's a beautiful venue. It's right there and close to the historic Hayden Ashbury district, and it's inside the Golden Gate Park. It's extremely windy and foggy even at noon, So you can imagine from noon till early morning the next day, you will have at least 15 to 20 miles per hour winds there. And it's a beautiful venue, which the 49ers started playing there years ago. And they, I think, I'm not even sure, but I'm pretty sure they won a championship when they were home, when that was their home field. And then obviously they made it smaller. They put a track around it, so now they have these really traditional football games in the winter, in the fall, the high school football games. And now it's home to us, to another club's amateur, even the women's San Francisco Nighthawks that have been there for 30 years. It's a great place, and now there's a new club coming in for MLS Next Pro. They're going to be taking over, remodeling it. So it's a place where it's right in the heart of the city, and it's known for its history in football and in soccer. Um, but I could consider Boxer Stadium the home of true soccer in San Francisco, which is another stadium that is a little bit more south of the city, and that's a soccer specific stadium. I believe the first soccer specific stadium in California, if not the country, and that was home to the San Francisco Football League for many years before the MLS was one of the top leagues in the country. And unfortunately, it doesn't have lights there, so we cannot host there in the national playoffs.
Yeah, that's a shame. I guess would there be any opportunity you think, maybe refurbishment of Boxer Stadium to at least put lights on there for night games?
Yeah, if you could help us put a GoFundMe link at every show of yours, maybe we could get some money to do that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not? Definitely. No, I would like to try to help out as much as I can.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
really
it's
need,
definitely something we would like in the future to look and work with the city. That would be amazing to have lights there, but there's many homes around, so it might be it might be a bit difficult, but we'll see. For now, we have Kizar, and the MLS Next Pro team is willing to help us out to still maintain and play there, even after the new pitch that they're gonna add there. So it, we're okay at Kizar right now. It's a beautiful venue.
that's good. I'm glad to hear that. At least it's a beautiful venue and everyone's well aware of it. Absolutely. Um, this run that your club is making in the Open Cup now, officially 4 straight years of reaching the Open Cup. How important is that for the neighborhood that the taco bar is in? Your players have been a part of this club for how long now? Even for yourself, this run. I mean, this is like consecutive years that you've qualified for the Open Cup. Is that really a badge of honor in your mind?
No, absolutely. Even just to qualify once, to me, it's a huge achievement. I grew up with the Open Cup thanks to my father, thanks to the club. It's a cup that I highly respect and I admire, and I think it's a beautiful competition. And I've always wanted for me to be as be being responsible of this group and being a leader of the club for always compete and look to represent San Francisco in the Open Cup, regardless of what division or league that we're in. So it's always been a goal of mine to always qualify, and then to qualify it 4 times in a row. It's I'm just very fortunate that I was able to discover such a great group of players that are so united and they work hard and they're motivated and they respect and they honor the cup just like myself.
That's fantastic to hear. I need to contact the guys at the cup.us to see if that's a record or what is the longest record for amateur sides qualifying for the Open Cup. Because
I,
if you're
I,
up
I
there,
believe
that
it
would be
was
fantastic.
I believe it was Christos. Christos. I don't. Where's Christos from? Baltimore,
Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah. I think I once heard that it was 5 straight. I'm not sure, or was it Motown?
Hmm.
5 straight, something like that. But it's been 5 or 6 consecutive. That's the most I've heard. But the Open Cup US guy, he definitely knows.
Yeah, he would definitely know, and I'll probably give him a call when I'm done with my show tonight and see what's going to happen there. But still, though, this is just wonderful to see, and to be honest with you, I'm happy it is El Farolito because your club has done so many wonderful things during the Open Cup, during NPSL play. Honestly, it is just fabulous to know that you're going to get the inaugural John Motta Trophy. You're going to go straight to the second round proper. And I'm just happy for you, and I'm happy for the club, and I'm happy for everyone involved with this club. That's going to happen. But anyway, Santiago, good luck with the rest of the playoffs. Good luck against Michigan Rangers. And I'm here for you as always. I'm rooting for you. So thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much.
joining me
Thank you.
tonight.
It's always an honor. Hopefully, talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Hopefully, we'll talk to you soon as well. The head coach of El Farolito, Santiago Lopez, joining me tonight on this wonderful moment for his club as they go on to the 2026 U.S. Open Cup automatically as the inaugural trophy winners of the John Motta Trophy for the U.S. Open Cup. They went the furthest. They got the $50,000 prize for the bonuses as the Open Division club that went the furthest in this past, or should I say, this current Open Cup tournament. And he'll be going automatically with El Farolito to the 2026 edition. And we will see what they will do once they are involved in the tournament next year. So great news, fantastic news. And it's just wonderful to discuss about what is going on with that national premier soccer league club that performs in the Golden Gate Conference in the western side of our nation. Now it's time to review the New York Red Bulls and their two matches this past week. One fantastic, one terrible. But let's go ahead and talk about the win in midweek against the New England Revolution. Oh my God, look at this. Brand new graphics. How you like that? First of all, I want to thank my friend JJ Pavlik of Bad Dog Sports for helping me out with these brand new graphics to show all of you the show is improving as we continue on here during the season. A 5-3 comeback victory for the New York Red Bulls against New England Revolution. And boy, oh boy, was that ever an amazing comeback win. Didn't start off great. It started terrible in the first half. And there it is. First half goals in the 5th minute by Leo Campagna as he got the opening goal off of a slight deflection from a cross, deflected right off of Sean Nealis by mistake, unfortunately, went right to Campagna, and he just took it one time, buried it. And then Kyle Duncan, wrong place at the wrong time. 30th minute, there was an opportunity for Lugari to get a shot on frame, and he hit the far post. But unfortunately for Kyle Duncan, he put himself in a position where the rebound hit him in his back, and then the ball went into the back of the net. Unfortunately for Kyle Duncan, at the wrong place at the wrong time, just didn't even see where the ball went. You can't even accuse him of ball watching because he never saw the ball. As he felt the ball hit him on his back. And at halftime, the Red Bulls were down 2-0. And then you're thinking to yourself, this losing streak is going to continue on. And unfortunately, it felt like another loss would be coming, this time at home. And, why even bother? Why even stay to watch? But you know what they did? They regrouped. They regrouped and they went out and they did a job. And it was amazing how that job turned out. And once the second half began, yes, there was a yellow card to Wiki Carmona for a foul, but here come the Red Bulls, and 2 minutes later, Daniel Edelman, he drilled one back after the initial attempt by Carmona was blocked. Ronald Doncourt found himself with the ball, and it went back outside the area where Edelman ripped it from distance, deflected off a New England Revolution defender, and it made it 2-1. And then it's that matchup, it's that partnership of Emil Forsberg and Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting. 70th minute, the equalizer, as Mohamed Sofo chased after the ball at the near side, brought it back up, crossed it to the top of the area to Rondon Core with a slight deflection to Emil Forsberg, makes a quick pass to Chupo Moting, and he buried it inside the far post. That made it 2-2. And then a smasher, an absolute smasher by Emil Forsberg, the captain, in 2 minutes later, as he smashed it inside the far post off of his weaker foot, the left foot. Great passes from Julian Hall to Dennis Yengor, and then Emil Forsberg took it, moved across the area on the outside, and then just destroyed it to make it 3-2 Red Bulls. And then it's those two again. Moving on, Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, after the initial chance from Forsberg bending a ball from the far side into the stride of Dennis Yengor, and his slide shot stopped by Ivicic, but Ronald Doncourt, trailing the play, picked up the ball, and then he found Choupo-Moting making a run, crossed it right in a space where Choupo-Moting can get it, buried it, second goal of the match, 4-2 Red Bulls, and then later on a penalty given to the Red Bulls because of Keegan Hughes's NFL-style tackle, grabbed Julian Hall inside the area and threw him down. That warranted the penalty. That also gave Keegan Hughes the yellow card in the 87th minute. And Forsberg converts the penalty a minute later, and that made it 5-2. Campagna in second half stoppage time did get his second goal of the match, but unfortunately, it's just late consolation prize. And that's it. Luis Diaz Espinoza gets his booking, showing dissent to the referee, and that would be it. That would be New York Red Bulls 5, New England Revolution 3, and the Red Bulls break the 5-game winless streak against them. And you're thinking everything is back, everything is doing fantastic until we get to Messi Mania on the weekend. And with that one, yes, unfortunately, a horrible, devastating home loss to Inter Miami by a final of 5-1. The first goal of the match came for the Red Bulls. Alexander Hack was right there in front of the net. Corner at the near corner by Emil Forsberg, delivered tightly towards the net. All Hack did was lift up his left leg, redirected the ball past Novo Rios, and it made it 1-0 for the Red Bulls in the 15th minute. And then it all just went south from there, completely south from there. And once again, the Lionel Messi show did show up at Sports Illustrated Stadium. It was his masterclass. 2 goals from Messi late in the match, with also 2 assists, one to Jordi Alba and the other one to Talasco Segovia. That made it, of course, for Alba 1-1, Talasco Segovia 2-1. He got his second goal of the match in first half stoppage time on a poor clearance, and then Messi just took over. Got a great ball from Sergio Busquets right down the middle, parted the Red Sea, buried that chance, and boy, oh boy, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable what happened there with that goal. And of course, that second goal he scored, great pass from Luis Suarez to bury that opportunity. And once again, Inter Miami, just unbelievable in that one. What does that mean for this match against Inter Miami? Well, for the Rebels, obviously, it's a deflating home defeat. The defense collapsed. It's not just that the defense collapsed. Mohamed Sofo was basically being told to play not just as a right wing midfielder, but a right wing back. And when you do that, unfortunately, he's just switched off. He didn't even pay attention to Jordi Alba making the run. He did that twice, Mohamed Sofo. Excuse me. Pardon me. I got to take a swig of drink myself, actually. Just give me one moment. So Mohamed Sofo just did not watch Jordi Alba make that run behind him. He had his whole body positioned watching the ball, or at least watching the defenders and the attackers in front of him from a side angle. He did not look straight ahead. He did not watch Jordi Alba, and Jordi Alba beat him twice down the far side right behind him. And look, he's going to learn this, and he's going to look, it's better to learn now than worry about it later on down the road. And it was just, this is the thing that Mohamed Sofo needs to do. He needs to pay attention to what is going on in front of him and not worry about who is positioning to try and receive the ball in front of him. You have to view the pitch all sides. You're going to have your head on a swivel, because that's the only way you're going to prevent a goal like that to happen. And he just did not do it, not only once, but twice. Cannot happen. And then the second goal for Segovia, just poor clearing, poor defending, and you put yourself behind the eight ball, and you're already down by 2. And regardless of who is on the pitch, you cannot leave yourself stretched. As soon, even before Busquets sent that looping ball in front of Messi, even I saw, and I said to myself, they are leaving too much room down the middle of the pitch. And 3-5 seconds later, Busquets recognized it. Messi recognized it. Went on a run, looping ball, going on one against Coronel. Deke, move, goal, over, done, finito, it's over. And even if Messi did get his second goal of the match, look, Miami deserved it. Miami did better. Because why? Because the Red Bulls switched off. Period. But I also have to talk about something that I did not like in this match. And this is nothing about the Red Bulls that I'm going to talk about. This is something completely different. And it's about how Victor Rivas officiated this match. 95% of the time, I thought he was spot on. Victor Rivas did a very good job. The two problems that I had with Victor Rivas' officiating was simply this. Ronald Doncourt got a yellow card for bumping down Messi. It was not malicious. It was not reckless. He was tracking the ball. He was trying to head the ball away, and he did leap up for it, but he unfortunately bumped into Lionel Messi. Is it a foul? Absolutely a foul. I'm not concerned about it being a foul or not. It was a foul. No doubt in my mind. Was it a yellow card foul? Absolutely not. Because once again, Doncourt is playing the ball. Did he get Messi? Yes. It's a foul. Not the question. But the yellow card is. And I thought that was not a yellow card offense. Period. Now, the second one. This is where I got annoyed and this is where I got upset. And that is simply this. When you have Luis, okay, look, you're winning 4-1 against the Red Bulls, okay? Yes, you're winning at Sports Illustrated Stadium. That's fine. It's dandy. It's okay. What is Luis Suarez doing running towards Sandro Schwarz inside his technical area and making contact with him, shoving him? Why? Why did he make contact, Luis Suarez? Why? Because he wants to bully Sandro Schwarz? He wants to tell the head coach of the Red Bulls, hey, we're here, we're going to beat you down like we know we can? Look, you're winning on the scoreboard, okay? You're doing everything on the scoreboard. The problem I have with you, Luis Suarez, the vampire, you didn't have to go directly to Sandro Schwarz and make contact with him. You didn't have to touch him. You didn't have to shove him. He is doing what he needs to do to try and motivate his players to go and attack. And for you to do that to him was absolutely wrong. And what really bothers me is Victor Rivas, the referee. Where is a card? Where's the yellow card? Where's a red card? Where's any card of any kind given to Luis Suarez? Absolutely not. I'm sorry, but as much as Inter Miami has one of the greatest players of all time in this game, and one of Uruguay's best, who's calling it quits at the end of this season, calling it a career, that should not have happened. That, my friends, should never have happened. Sandro Schwarz should never have been touched at all by Luis Suarez. Nothing should have happened. Absolutely nothing. And Victor Rivas should have issued a card of any kind because Luis Suarez was not subbing out, nor was it going off the pitch due to injury. He intentionally went at Sandro Schwarz and shoved him, made contact with him. And then you see Jordi Alba trying to play nice with them, and Sandro accepts the apology. But still, Suarez should have been either booked or sent off. And the reality is this: if the Major League Soccer Disciplinary Committee gets a hold of that tape, I don't care who is with Messi. I don't care if it's him and his friends, or if it's a kid coming out of the academy, or if it's even Kramashi. That should not have happened. And I want the Disciplinary Committee of Major League Soccer to fine and suspend Luis Suarez for at least one game. I know he's not going to get multiple games for it, but he should be fined and suspended for the next game this upcoming weekend. He should be fined and suspended for that. I don't see anyone going after Javier Mascherano inside his technical area when the opposition beats up on his precious team of Messi and friends. I don't appreciate that from Luis Suarez. And if there is no suspension coming from the MLS Disciplinary Committee, then I guess Miami has the league by the soccer balls. Because that should not have happened. Period. I respect David Beckham as a part owner of the club, but even he must acknowledge what Suarez did should never have happened. Never. And I will say this as well. Let's just say for the hell of it, okay? One of his former teammates at Manchester United comes and coaches in Major League Soccer. Obviously, Philip Neville is in Portland. What would happen if Suarez did that to Phil Neville, David Beckham's buddy on Man United? Well, you think David would probably have a talking to with Luis Suarez? He probably would. But he should have a talking to with him no matter what. This is the stuff that makes me angry, and this is the stuff that makes me upset when I see something go unpunished. Period. I want MLS, and I also want the disciplinary committee to fine and suspend Luis Suarez for this upcoming weekend before Leagues Cup begins, because he deserves at least a fine and a one-game suspension for going after Sandro Schwarz and physically shoving him inside his own technical area. Period. Nothing more, nothing less. And if it doesn't happen, MLS, then we all know where your bread is buttered. Period. That's what I want to see. That is what I want to see. I want to see Suarez fined and suspended for one game. I know he's not going to get two, and I know he's not going to get 3, 4, or 5 because MLS won't do it. One game is enough for me right now. He should be fined for 2 games, 3 games, 4 games for going after the opposition's coach for no reason. For no reason. You're winning the match 4-1. You have it in your hands. You didn't have to go to the technical area of the Red Bulls and shove Sandro Schwarz, period. That's what makes me angry. That's what makes me mad. And that is why this cannot happen again. I don't care if he comes from the academy, if he's just a part-time player, a full-time player, or a world superstar footballer coming from the best clubs and the best national teams of Europe and South America. Fine and a 1-game suspension for Luis Suarez. It has to happen. Period. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. I want to thank my guests, Duke Keith, play-by-play broadcaster for El Paso Locomotive, and Santiago Lopez, the head coach of El Farolito. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Don't forget to join me tomorrow night. I will have on Peter Brown of Football Miami TV and Michael Martinez from the Cascadia FC website on the Seattle Sounders, as we will review the FIFA Club World Cup, including our clubs in LAFC, Miami, Inter Miami, and the Seattle Sounders that were involved representing Major League Soccer. Once again, my name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. As always, please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care. So long, and have a good night. Bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.